thank you for joining me on Breathe, Laugh, Parent. If this episode brought you a moment of calm or connection, please share it with a fellow mama. Subscribe on your favourite platform or visit shineom.com.au/podcast for more. Until next time, keep breathing, laughing and parenting with heart. The information shared on Breathe, Laugh, Parent, the Shine On podcast is for general educational and inspirational purposes only. It is not medical, therapeutic or professional advice and should not be relied on as such. Always consult a qualified health or parenting professional for support tailored to your individual needs. Shine On and its guests disclaim any liability for decisions made based on this content. Welcome to Breathe, Laugh, Parent, the Shine On podcast. I'm your host, Rach, yoga teacher, natural mama, and passionate guide in all things nervous system and connection. This is your space for honest conversations, emotional wellbeing tools, and mindful parenting insights. Whether you're in the thick of meltdowns or seeking a moment of calm, you belong here. Let's take a breath together and begin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome, Ange.
Thank you.
Ange, I'd love to introduce you. Ange is the creatress of the Birthing the Feminine Way container, and she supports mums and mums-to-be to birth new identities, birth anything. Could be new identities, projects, businesses, the version of mother that I'd like to be, anything really that's new and new and I'm going to say exciting, but that's because it's from my experience. But anything new and it shifts. And I might hand it over to you to pass and describe to us, who are you? Who are you, Ange? It's such a big life question.
Thank you, Rach. Yeah, I'm super passionate about supporting women. Been on this path for over 10 years. Well over 10 years now. And passionate about supporting women, particularly mums and mums-to-be. And it came through the other day, actually. I was having a bit of a giggle. It was in my dream state. A very beautiful message of, you're actually a doula. And I was like, what? I'm not a doula. I don't attend births. And I was like, you're a doula of creation. I was like, when I reflect back over my last 10 years, like not only have I created and birthed so many different things in my life, I've also supported so many women, to birth new relationships and new versions of themselves or their most authentic self. And like you said, the mother they desire to be, bringing their soul gifts alive and birthed into this world. And I'm just really passionate about supporting women to tap into their feminine essence, to be able to really understand the creation and birth process. And being able to bring alive all of our heart's desires, because that's been my journey over the last 10 years. My journey has been literally tapping into my heart, tapping into what it is I desire in my life, releasing and letting go of conditioning and programming and all the things that stand in the way, and consciously choosing and creating to live and experience life from my heart and through all my desires.
I love that, Ange. And that's something so I met you in 2018 and then we connected online, and it's been like an honor and a huge inspiration following your journey. I mean, what's that? So nearly 8 years ago, and witnessing you, act and live and define your life from your heart space. And it's testament to you because you embody it. You embody what you allow to be the doula, the doula for other women to do the same. And I've been really excited about this conversation, and I'm really hoping my intention is to give it justice, because what you do is so powerful and potent and so beautiful. Your work is so beautiful. And I really hope that the women listening today can really feel that and have an understanding of how important the work you do is.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me today. Yeah. And so I'd really love to talk to your container or your program, Birthing in the Feminine Way. And so I'd really like to let's talk about what is birthing in the feminine way and what is living from the feminine way. So for our listeners,
Oh,
explain that.
okay. There's a big question. And I think I might share through a story, if that's okay.
Love it.
Because
Yes.
this program actually I channeled through me. So a lot of people may not know that I'm also a channel. And a lot of my work comes through from spirit. And that might be an unfamiliar concept for some people. But it all came through and landed for me about a year into my motherhood journey. And a lot of it came through because of the experiences I had in pregnancy and in birth. And for me, pregnancy was a very deep, wild journey, a very challenging time of journeying into the underworld and really starting to recognize my shadows and things that lay dormant in the unconscious that may have been causing me suffering in my life or may have been causing some form of pain. And so as I started to become aware of my patterns, I started to prepare for the birth portal to birth my daughter into this world, like many women do. And I knew that I wanted my birthing experience to be deeply feminine. Now, those who are listening to this podcast and know me will know that for most of my life, I actually live very much from I want to say an unhealthy masculine essence. Now, some people may not know what I'm talking about when I talk about feminine and masculine. And we all have both. We all have yin and yang energies within us, and they're not good nor bad. And we need both, and we need to have a balance of both. I feel that sometimes we fall out of balance with the masculine and feminine because our masculine is like our protector. And if we've had challenges in our life early on, from our childhood through our teens early on, we can step more into this masculine energy so that we can get our needs met and so that we can feel safe and so that we can feel loved and all of those things. And so I had a lot of this. I had a lot of forcing and pushing and proving. And what I realized in my birthing experience with my daughter is that was actually causing me a lot of suffering. So I feel the birth portal, and women who have birthed may resonate with this, but I feel like the birth portal, it really amplifies everything that's been going on in your life, and you can see all of your patterns and all of the things laying in your subconscious as you're birthing your child. And so I also believe that a lot of the way in which we birth depends on how we actually birthed into the world ourselves. So it can stem all the way back from our own birth into the world. And so fast forward, in my birth, wanted to have this beautiful feminine birth of like deep surrender, deep trust, pleasure, listening to my body and my intuition, because our bodies just know what to do. We are made to birth. We are women. We are made to create and birth. So it's really natural. And I believe that what can happen in the birthing process is that we get in the way. And that's what happened in my birth. But I got to experience both. So I really got to experience this pleasurable, effortless, like I was saying to my birthing team, I can't really be in labor. This isn't labor. Like I can't be in labor. This is too good. And I was questioning it. And I was, 7 or 8 centimeters dilated, and I could feel her head. And I was like, what? And it's not that there wasn't pain. It was that because I learned to open my heart through the pain instead of contract and withdraw and not allow myself to open. So when I was opening, it was almost like this relief sensation and I could find pleasure in between, with the natural DMT that we release. And And I was floating in my birthing pool, just thinking, this is phenomenal. This is incredible, deeply connected between two realms. And it was only because I heard a slight voice in my birthing room somewhere that someone mentioned that my daughter should be here by dinner. Wow, what an ideal birth. What a perfect birth. And my ego caught onto that. And my ego caught onto it. And I then decided that I would prove that I could make that happen. And so along came those traits that I had developed and from all the conditioning and all of the things. And they came into the birth experience, and I was pushing and forcing and trying to get her out. And what I realized through doing that was actually I ended up with a cervical lip, which is swelling, where my daughter then couldn't get through. So not only was I then in excruciating pain and distress and discomfort, all of those things, I actually couldn't birth my daughter. The birth stalled. And so when I won't go into the rest of the story. She came.
Yeah.
She came in the end, and it was beautiful and magnificent, and I got to have my natural birth. But there was this moment in the birth portal where I just started crying and really sat, and I looked at my partner and went, wow, as humans, we really do cause our own suffering. What the heck? And over the next year, you know, going into my postpartum, you go deep into your feminine. You are in stillness. You are, well, I was. I was breastfeeding, and everything was just about me and my daughter. And, you know, a lot of self-care, a lot of pleasure, a lot of presence, a lot of slowness, a lot of spaciousness, deep levels of listening to my intuition to know what my daughter needed, lots of trust. And over that year, I think I was really deeply embodying my feminine essence. And so the birth portal was the healing of that. And it was not long before my daughter's first birthday that I really wanted to start to talk into this with women. And I ran a 3-part workshop around how we go through a birth, death, and rebirth when we're birthing something or when we're creating something, whether it's a baby or not. And this whole program just started channeling through me, and the women that were on the call all wanted to do more work, and the container filled up within a week. And I feel that just through listening to my channel and listening to the guidance, it was like, this work is needed. This work is so needed for women on the planet at this time. And so creating and birthing in the feminine way is about supporting women to unravel their conditioning, their programming, all of the patterns and things that are either causing suffering in their life or stopping or stalling what they desire in their heart to actually birth. Whether that's whether that's them as the person they want to be or the mother they want to be or whatever it is, it's all relevant. It's the exact same process.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. I actually forgot I was part of that 3-night series that you had.
Yeah. You were
Yeah,
pregnant.
I was. And so I was really embodying birthing and mothering with softness.
That's right.
Yeah. And it was all about surrender. Yeah, I remember that. And yeah, I remember now how you brought that, how I could see it as, how I could see it downloading for you. And then you're like, hey, I'm in this. And now it's a program.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's so amazing. Like even those 3 nights, it was 3 nights. Was it 3 consecutive nights?
Yeah, it was 3. It was 3 consecutive nights, and we were doing the cycle of the birth, which is landing of the seed of creation, and then the death, which is everything that gets to shed and fall away, so that seed can actually grow and flourish, and the rebirth. So the birthing of that seed, and it's just it's such a powerful process when we start to understand that we live cyclically as women, and also the way in which we create and birth is cyclically as well. So through that cycle, we're constantly going through this cycle, and many people may not even be aware that they're doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then, so you've created this container following this download. And can you talk to us a little bit more about what kind of experiences or transformations that the women attending your program that you've been witness to?
Oh my gosh. So many. Well, it depends on the intention in which they have come in for. That's
Mm.
a really main part. Yeah, some women are often completely disconnected from their femininity. And so it's a full journey for them in really actually starting to heal, like I said before, the deeper layers as to why. Because when we're in our feminine, we are vulnerable, like you said, the softening, the surrendering. And we can only really do that if we trust ourselves. And the way in which we trust ourselves is by marrying our own masculine and feminine within us in the healthiest ways. So we all need that masculine energy of direction and decision making and commitment and discipline. And we need all of that. And when we have that in its healthiest form, as opposed to control and push and force and hustle, that leaves women burnt out and depleted, and, often in states of stress. When we have that in its healthy form, then we can soften into our feminine. And so a lot of women come to me and they're completely disconnected. They're disconnected from their wombs, from their cycles. Women are often disconnected from who they are. A lot of women come into my container and they really want to be their authentic self, but they've never really done any work to unravel who they are. So people often say, I'm searching for who I am, and they're going on this search of like, who am I? And my perspective and what I work with women in this container is like, let's just work out who you're not, and what's going to be left is you.
Yeah.
And who you're not is the people pleasing, the person who can't set boundaries, the person who doesn't express herself or speak her truth, or the person that's doing this job or chasing this career path over here that actually they're doing it to get approval still from mum or dad. So it's like just total actual opportunity to look within. And yeah, a lot of women will come to the container with an idea of what it is that they want to create or birth. And sometimes it's like, that's not it. There's something else that is more of a pressing, I don't want to say issue, but something that's wanting to transform first, so that then that they can step into that, what they actually truly desire. So yeah, you won't always get what you desire straight away. You'll get what you need. Journey. And it can be huge. I've had a client recently in my work, which is the same process as the container, but she was wanting to birth her business and live more from her heart. And bless her, she's a beautiful woman. She actually ended up having a heart attack and needing to have that experience of actually opening her heart and deep healing that she did. She's been able to heal and create so much change from that. And she did not step into a container with me with the desire of, that happening. But I guess my point is that people can come in with an intention, and what it is that your soul actually needs so that you can create what your heart desires is what's going to unravel.
Totally. And I can speak to that too from my experience with you. So I remember, and something I do love too is that before you sign people up, you generally have a call or a talk with them to see if it's the right fit and if it's the way to work with you. And I remember with you, I was like, I know I can be a better mother. Like, I'm being triggered by my daughter, and I know there's another way. I know there's a different way. But at the same time, I kept getting this download of like, you need to write a book. You need to write a book. And it got to the point where I was like, a book's about to slap me in the face. Like, I need to write this book. And so I was like, okay, I'll go with the intention of birthing the book, whatever this book will be. And then it was the first call, and the very divine message I got was, yes, you will write the book, but you first need to focus on being the mother you desire. And so my whole journey with you was then becoming the identity of the flowing mother. And that's been huge, so massive. I feel I can genuinely say that I am not the same mother or the same woman I was when I met with you in December. I think I met with you in December, but we started in like the start of February, like January. And it's been an ongoing journey. So beyond just the 4-month container, it's like the continuing process of being able to then apply the tools and the strategies. And one of the other great things about the container is you actually help us set up actionable steps. So it's not just like, it's not woo woo, and it's not, let's just talk about what needs to be healed, or it's not the metaphysical. It's also like, okay, so you desire to be the following mother. What does she look like? How does she dress? How does she move? What does she do during her day? And again, it wasn't just a let's visualize it. It's like, okay, let's actually put those steps into your calendar. So let's look at nourishment, for example. And a big message that I always hear from you is that we can't pour from an empty cup. And we totally can't. When you do try and do that as a mother, it doesn't flow. It doesn't work. And so we went through and I put in, have like an hour in the morning. In that time, I can do breath work, I can do movement. It's about getting into my body. It's about clearing my mind. And then how does that set me up? And one of the greatest things I remember, my girls were both asleep and I was out the back. It was a beautiful day. It was it was a beautiful day. And I looked inside and the house was just trashed as it is. And I looked outside and I was like, no, I choose me. And I went outside and I had a swim and I did my meditation out in the sun. And I remember voice memoing you and being like, I would not have done this like a month ago, 3 months ago, 6 months ago. I would have just gone in and done all the cleaning, done all the things I had to do. And then the girls would wake up and I'd be exhausted.
Yeah.
And there's a huge shift.
Yeah, it's their identity work. So identity work is a big part of what I do. And although I love the woo-woo and, I love deep healing work because that's important too. But the identity work is really about who am I being? Because I had this desire over here like you had as the flowing mother. But how do I get from here to here? And if I keep being who I'm being now, I'm going to keep having the same experiences and I'm going to keep doing what I would normally do. And I'm going to keep that's what I'm going to have is those experiences. So how do I get over here? How do I get here? And that's throughout a process of really birthing the new identity. And when we birth a new identity, we need to look at, well, what is the flowing mother, for example, for you? What does she value? And what are her beliefs? And from those beliefs, what actions does she take? Because I can imagine that past you, maybe with, whatever was your conditioning at that time, maybe it was perfectionism or maybe whatever it was, it would have been like, oh, I need to get the house organized, and the patterns. And I know so many mums resonate with this of like, stepping into that control and like forcing getting it all done because the kids are going to wake up soon and I just want everything done. And then I can relax. And it's like, yeah, but what if you put you first? Like, what if they became a part of that with you? And what if you actually took the space and the time that you need when, if you're sleep deprived and you're not getting any space to yourself? What if you took the time to actually, create more space internally so that then when you're with them, it feels spacious, so you can be more in your feminine flow. Because the reason as women, we often go into that masculine energy as mothers is, I could probably talk about this for a while, but one of the reasons is that we try to control, and that can often come down to what we make it mean about ourselves as a mother. Oh, I'm not a good mother. The conditioning, mothers need to have XYZ done to be the good mother. And you've got good girl archetype, in us from our childhood and people pleasing and seeking approval, and perfectionism and all of those things that we based our worth off, then that follows us into motherhood. And then we wonder why we're drowning in motherhood. And I'm a massive believer that we get to create the experience we desire in motherhood, truly do. And that doesn't mean that there won't be hard times, and it doesn't mean that there won't be things that challenge us, like yourself. I've had the sleep deprivation journey, and I was trying to fix it and control it and change it and all these things. And I was just so deep in suffering with that journey that the moment that I actually just got solutions focused with my partner and was like in full acceptance and surrender of, okay, well, this is just the time that she's not going to sleep. And that's okay because of her age. And what can I do to support myself through this? How can I ask for help? How can I express my needs and desires? And all of a sudden, the focus wasn't on the fact that she wasn't sleeping through. It was just something that, we just managed. And the focus was more on, what do I need? And then she started sleeping through.
Yeah.
I mean, apart from last night,
Yeah.
she doesn't sleep through all the time, but it's definitely not the experience that I was having. So, when we step into flow and we step into that femininity in our mothering, it is about, releasing the force, the control, and getting deeper into underneath that of like, why does that trigger me? And why do I need things to be a certain way? And why does it have to be like that? What am I afraid of happening? What pain is actually sitting underneath all that for me?
Yeah. Yeah. And in my experience of working with you, and it's something that like I love is that you always come back to what do you need? Or if you're acting in a certain way or reacting in a certain way, then like what need isn't being met for you? And I think that's so important, particularly for women, to reflect on and go, oh, hang on a second. We could we could go into a whole conversation about the patriarchy, but just in terms of conditioning for women, historically, we haven't put ourselves first. So it's new. It's a new way of being. It's a new way of approaching life. It's so necessary.
Yeah. And like, I will go there slightly because I feel like it's a good conversation for women to hear. And it's like, we were conditioned because women didn't even have bank accounts before 1970s. So like we were at home with the children. I think that's beautiful, but we were at home with the children. We didn't have rights and we had no money, and we needed to show up and behave in a certain way so that we would be loved by our partners, so we'd have a roof over our head, so that we would have food in our mouths. Like we had to perform. We did. There's such deep conditioning that we had to perform. And then I think, through the feminist era, I think we went too far the other way and we fought so hard for women's rights. And then we sort of have gone too deep into the boss babe era.
Yeah.
And burnt ourselves out in that way. So it's like we're in this time in history, I believe, where we're coming back to ancient ways because they work, and the simplified mothering and bringing with us our own self-worth and self-love and being able to use our voices and be heard and know that we're worthy of having our needs met and equality in the home and coming together as a team as men and women. And I think that we're doing a full circle, but bringing with us all the treasures and all the gold so that it can be integrated.
Absolutely. I saw this thing recently. It was about let's get rid of girl boss and let's come back into girl moss. And it was about like slowness and softness and being in touch with nature. And I was like, yeah, I'm vibing girl moss.
Well, I think, and there's nothing like, as you know, like in this container, I help women birth businesses. And I run a very successful business. And, my first year of motherhood, I earned six figures and like working 1 day a week. I was working 6 hours a week. It's actually about learning to use our feminine power and operate from that way, as opposed to, as I said earlier, the push, the force, the hustle, I've got to work hard to make money, or I've got to work hard to prove myself and all of that. Actually, we have incredible gifts as women. And when we drop into our slowness, our spaciousness, our deep levels of trust, and listening to our intuition and really tapping into that, I feel like life
Yes.
flows. And I notice it with my daughter in days that I spend just me and her mothering, the moment, like preparing for this podcast, trying to get my daughter to nap. The moment I go into control or force, it's like chaos, everything, shit hits the fan. But when I'm able to actually let go and just let life and trust whatever's unraveling is always for the highest, everything works out. And not only
Yeah.
does it work out, I feel like life gets really amazing. It's juicy. Life is magical.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd love to speak a bit more to that too, particularly for any women who are listening or considering doing your program and are like, oh, I'm not birthing a business or whatever, but are mothers. There have been so many, like countless times since I've, stepped into being consciously creating or consciously being the flowing mother, that my motherhood journey or my motherhood days, weeks, months with my children have just been complete bliss. And I'm talking the ages of 2 under 2.5 when, yeah, it is full on, but yet we've found a flow and ease and joy in our days where, had I not done this program with you, I may have gone, well, that's not possible. Or like hearing the programming, particularly from my family that are like, oh, that's just motherhood, or yeah,
Mm,
motherhood's exhausting and you just get
mm.
through it. And, I don't remember much, but you'll be fine and they'll be right. Like all those.
And they don't remember much because they were most likely disassociated through the journey. And I'm sure many mothers connect to and relate to that,
Yeah.
like how full on it can be when we're running the program of
Yeah.
motherhood's exhausting or motherhood's hard or motherhood's very challenging, or I get it. Like you, I've had to work through some deep layers of conditioning of my own mum's experience of motherhood. And, experiencing, and I know you had this experience too, of like the two realms. One minute you're like, wow, motherhood gets to be this good. And then the next minute you're like, oh my gosh, this and this, and I feel unsupported, I'm depleted, I'm drained. And then I'm like, hang on. Is this real? Is this actually my experience? Or is this stuff coming up through my body from my cells and my tissues from my mother's experience? Because as children, we absorb it all. Like what they suppress, we take on and I'll hold it for you. Or we express it, or if we don't express it, we suppress it. And then we go into our own motherhood journey. And this is the cycle. A lot of women come to me and they want to break cycles. They say, I want to break the cycles in my motherhood journey. I hear myself and how I'm speaking to my child and I sound like my mother, or I can't believe I did that. And the first thing I say to any woman that's having that experience is to bring yourself some compassion and love, because we don't heal through judgment. And it's not about being perfect at all. I'm not perfect in my motherhood journey. However, it is about identifying when those things happen and being able to work through it and work through that suppressed pain or hurt that's being triggered in your motherhood journey. So important.
Yeah. And I remember it was I think it was about a month before the end, because then I remember being like, oh, I'm not ready. We can't end now. Like, yeah, that's when I went deep into the underworld, is what you say. And you beautifully guided me out of that. We have lots of love and compassion for me, but then also allowing me to have that for myself. Because I remember like a pivotal moment, and I was like, I actually reached out to mum and I was like, I need to know about your experience, because this is what this is not me. Like, you're feeling it in your body. You're saying things, your mind's, telling you stories, and you're like, hang on a second, this actually isn't my experience. And I was like, Mum, was this your experience? And I remember she took a moment and she's like, oh yeah, that's just what it is. And I was like, no, this is not my experience. And so I had to really do a process. Yeah, and I had to do a process around it. And even now, I do not believe that motherhood is depletion and exhaustion and, hard and challenging. I think I've seen it be other than. So yeah, it's And even just living in a feminine way outside of motherhood, that's happening for me. Like even just getting this podcast, I was like, no, I'm in a very deep space of trust, like alignment. When things are aligning, that's when things will flow. I've got to really trust that and lean into that. And I know sometimes for some people that might be hard to hear if you're like, hang on, no, or like this isn't right or whatever. But when you do have people, you know, your fellow conscious women, you get it, they get it. And you just trust that it's all going to work out, and it does. And also, in my experience, it works out better than what you thought it would because you're not forcing and pushing.
Well, I did have a giggle because, you know, we've been back and forth desiring to organize this podcast for a while. And my last container only just finished this week. And I was like, oh, wow, what am I birthing in this container? Because, you know, as I go on the journey with the women in the container, then usually I'm in the energy of it too. And we landed a new home yesterday because and I had a giggle to myself last night, and I was like, you needed to complete what you were birthing so then you could jump on the podcast and clear energy. So
well, congrats. And I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, it's such a journey, that one, of birthing a new home, an unexpected home change because the owner of where we're renting at the moment is selling. And, you know, it actually stripped me of all the control patterns because I tried to convince him not to sell. I tried to offer him more rent, like all the patterns of like trying to control and change it. And in the end, it was this opportunity of really surrendering and letting go and trusting that there's another house for us. We had to be out of our house in 2 weeks yesterday. So it was cutting it very fine. And as I said to some of the women I work with and my clients, I said to them, we can't choose when a baby's going to be born into the world. The baby comes when the baby's ready. And I was like, and I'm going through that with this house. The house is going to come when the house wants to come. And I can't force it. I can't make it. So it was such a journey of like deep surrender and trust. And it landed yesterday. So here we are on the podcast. So I was having a bit of a giggle to myself about the timing.
I love that. I actually had a giggle last night too, because I'm not sure if I mentioned it to you. If I didn't mention it to you, it was definitely something I was thinking of when we were trying to align this. But something I was like, no, I've got to learn how to get the podcast all up onto YouTube. And when that's done, then I can start fresh. Yesterday afternoon, it all just, and it went ding, 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 ding. It all happened. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. Yeah. I wanted that done before we met, and today we're meeting, and I was like, this is just too perfect.
And this is the thing that I really, really would love for all women to experience, is that magic of the flow of, like, you know, when you fully stop micromanaging everything in your life.
Yeah.
Or trying to push things to keep that person happy or to, you know, make sure you're ticking the boxes over here. Like when we fully let go of that and just like absolutely tune into our intuition and practice these qualities of the feminine, life becomes magic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you continue to, like, as a, you know, past client, I continue to experience that as well. Yeah, I'm just trying to, like, I mean, this podcast is an example of something that's birthed from your program. And I guess too, this also comes into, I've been focusing a lot in the last few months about stepping into my authenticity and being able to speak my truth and speak more authentically. And then now I've got a podcast. Like, okay, that wasn't something I intended. But again, when the energy feels right and I tune into it, it flows, and in my eyes, it's success. So
yeah, witnessing you from the moment that you actually, like, because obviously we've worked together before, but from you coming into this particular container at the beginning of the year or end of last year, whatever time frame that was, but seeing you where you were then and then seeing you move as you tap more into your femininity, all your creativity came on board. And I was, it was like writing the book, and then it was the resources that you were creating. And then I think you stepped back into even facilitating the family yoga. And like, I was just watching you and all the different things that you've been creating, and now the podcast. And I think that that doesn't happen when we stay in the other version of us, the more disempowered and in our head and overthinking. And yeah, like that version of us, we've
Yeah,
really got to drop into the body and reconnect with ourselves, because all of that is there waiting to come through our channel and to come through our body. And getting connected in with your womb and your heart is a part of that.
absolutely. Thank you for saying that, Ange. That's really nice to hear. But yeah, I feel that too. Yeah, I feel like once I got out of my own way, and even now, I don't know if I can even go to articulate this in the right way, but I'm just going to speak from my heart and how it feels. But I feel so much trust in life right now. And okay, so 12 months ago, if I was in this position and I was like, oh, okay, what am I going to do about kids yoga and family yoga and all the services that I offer, I need to keep doing, right? Whereas at the 30th of December is my last class. And then I don't know when I'm going to go back to facilitating classes and workshops, because I am trusting and I keep getting this download on what I need to be doing. And so I'm going to follow that. And I don't know what is in store. And I'm so excited about it, but fully at peace.
Yeah.
And my heart is at peace. I am trusting. I am trusting that everything that I have been doing is a part of the journey. You know, I'm a big believer in we don't have experiences for no reason. Like there's always a reason, there's always a rhythm, and that eventually it'll all make sense. But yeah, my intention be open for the next 12 months is let's see, let's just see. And I'm really feeling that creative bubbliness. So I'm going to follow that. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And part of that is like one of the things I talked to in the container, and probably heard me say this before, is that completion of our energy cycles. So if we do continue to do something when intuitively we're getting this, like, that's not it anymore, or it's time to take a pause, and so if we have old patterns, or, sometimes I refer to them as wounds, but of like, I don't want to let people down, or, out of fear of the unknown, or like we keep doing the old thing. And I think it's important to honor what we feel is in this moment complete. And then that energy that is completing comes out and is over here ready for creativity. And that's a part of our energy cycles that, we actually need to complete things so that we have energy to create new things. And can be scary, and that can bring up fear, and that can bring up the unknown and all of those things. It's the same as friendships. It's like I'm desiring new types of friendships over here that are more conscious, or that are more whatever it is that you're desiring. Then you get to let go of some of these friendships. And that's a part of the identity work. That's a part of like birthing our new version of ourselves. I know that I had loads of friends throughout my journey, and beautiful women, and definitely served their purpose. And equally at the same time, I question the depth of some of those friendships. We like to have a glass of wine together, and talk about all the things that weren't working in our life. And that's not where I'm at anymore. That closed off. And as that closed off, there was a period of isolation, a bit of loneliness, to then over here bringing that energy and creating and birthing what I did desire in my friendships and relationships. So there's just so many different areas of life that this work applies to, and that you can work through this process.
Absolutely. And and you mentioned that too, with the range of creations that women are coming in and birthing within the container, from relationships to new versions to soul gifts. But then also, I just want to touch on this too, to some women having like multiple births of different things. Like,
well, I had 3 pregnancies in the last container that just finished that came in during the container.
Oh God.
And I get shingles around that, as a third of the container fell pregnant. So if you're a woman out there who's like, oh, I would like to have a baby, it's a very fertile space, because that's how we fall pregnant, by being deep in our feminine essence. We're in a space of receptivity. Our womb is ready. Yeah. I mean, that's a whole nother journey and topic for another time around conception and the fertility challenges that a lot of women have. And I actually believe a lot of it is this
Mm.
because of our conditioning and how the energetics of where we're living from in that masculine way, as opposed to being in the feminine energetics. And energetics play a massive role in conception. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. 3 pregnancies though. That's huge. But I think too, one of the things, one of the other things, one of the many things that I loved about working with you, Ange, is the genuine sisterhood that you create. So the women, again, fully trusting that whoever's meant to be there will be there, but you provide a space where women can be authentically themselves and they feel held and they feel seen, which, I mean, who doesn't want to be seen, heard, felt, held, and valued? But the women within that group too are so supportive. It's such a nurturing, that in itself is such a nurturing environment that you have helped facilitate. So yeah, I think that's another amazing gift that you offer, which you may not, advertise.
Don't advertise it, but I tell you the background of where it came from. 10 years of working in women's circles. I went through a period of 5 years, every single Monday night, sitting in circle with women for 5 years, and we didn't take breaks, rarely, very rarely. And we were online, and it was a place in which I really got to learn to facilitate, and I also got to learn to listen and to hold space. And yeah, it was just such an incredible experience that took me to so many depths of understanding women and healing those sister wounds, because they come up. And when I talk about sister wounds, it's the wounds of the feminine that usually come through our lineage, and they come from our mother, or that if you've had actual sisters, they can come from past lives, and you can go all woo-woo, and I can tell you all about that. Even though, there's science behind it as well, the memory that's stored in our body of these experiences, our memory in our body goes back 6 generations. And so when there's been challenge with women and other women, which makes total sense when, like what I was saying earlier, women used to have to compete with one another in order to get the man, in order to be able to conceive and have babies and survive and fulfill their role on the planet. And so there's often been that competition, judgment, women talking about one another behind their backs, and like drama, and like I refer to it all as like the unhealthy feminine ways of like manipulation and all of that emotional projection and chaos. And I think it's really important that women gather in spaces with other women, because that's when we can see our stuff.
Yeah.
And it might activate it, and it can be triggering, but it's deeply healing, because we can meet other women that are on our level. They don't have judgment, and you can openly and authentically express, what comes up for you, and move through that and release any emotion or energy or belief systems, and start to create a new way, a new experience, a new identity of who you desire to be around other women.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Yeah, and I've witnessed it and continue to witness it in other areas. So,
and that's why I now have the community that I do, my Telegram community of past clients and women who are interested in working with me, and bringing everyone into the one space, because I think it's really powerful to have all women gather in one space, like-minded women, powerful women that are all on this journey of really desiring to create from their hearts, like to create what they actually desire in life, not what they've been told they have to do, or repeating cycles from their lineage or their parents. Or I just think there's so much more to life.
Yeah, and it's inspiring too. Like I personally, when I see a woman, or if I'm seeing a woman who's authentically expressing maybe where they desire to be, or something that's going on, or expressing their pain, And then you can see them on their journey as they continue to grow and then embody different practices and really stepping more into their feminine way, stepping into more of their empowerment. And then you're like, oh my gosh, that is so awesome. Like
Yeah.
that is inspiring to see. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
you were here and now you're over here. Like that is huge. And that's worth celebrating. But when you see with other women do that, then you can be like, oh, well, I can do that too.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
it's like, that's one of the things that I always talk to women about when they come and they say, oh, I really want to work with you and I'd love support with this and I want to create these changes in my life. And if I suggest the group container, I can tell if they're like that, or they resist or contract and go, but maybe I should just work with you one-to-one. And yeah, you can. And we go deep. And also I can tell if a woman would really benefit from being in a space with other women, because there's certain things that wouldn't shift as much if we were working one-to-one on our own, and that is that collaborative space of being seen, being vulnerable, being held, developing sisterhood, knowing you've actually got these empowered women by your side for life, because you make connections with women for life that will support you to remain in your power,
Yeah.
And that's what I value in those spaces is, yes, there's space for rawness and realness and the human experience, and we don't need to stay there.
Yeah.
We come back into our power, and then we can choose how we want to create and move forward with our life.
Yeah. And there's something about collective energy too, right? It's like if if you're practicing yoga at home, that's great. But if you go to a class and the results of that practice and experience is amplified.
Mhm.
So, if you're looking at it from a healing perspective, then that's going to be more potent than just doing it on your own, or doing it fully on your own, or then doing it with a guide, or, whatever word you choose to identify
Well, you
with.
go deeper into the practice, right?
Yeah.
It's the same as, women that they might come to me and maybe they've done a bit of personal development work. They've listened to some podcasts or they've read some books, or, like they've dipped their toe in. And it's very different if you come into a container like this. You'll have a much deeper experience and transformative experience. That's what I've seen happen for women.
Yeah. And I just want to touch on here too, because we've talked a lot about the bliss and the magic and the juiciness and the potency and the birthing of incredible things for many beautiful women. But I think it's important too to acknowledge that it's deep work.
Oh, yeah. I don't like to scare people. And it is deep work. And that's because if you really want long lasting change, it's not going to happen from reading a book necessarily. And also, we all have a beautiful ego that wants to keep us safe and protect us. And so our ego will often make up all the excuses as to why we can't do something, or it's not me, it's them. And the ego will want to blame and avoid responsibility and avoid going deep. And, what actually, one of my favorite sayings is, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. And Joseph Campbell, he has the hero's journey, and it is like the journey. And that's what this container is. It's a journey. It's not a tick a box, do the lessons, get the knowledge. It's an embodiment journey. We're going to go deep into the body, and we're going to actually see what is there and feel what is there and be with what is there. And that can be confronting and challenging. And when we learn to hold ourselves by having a beautiful group of women hold us, that's where we reclaim our power. That's where we learn how to speak our truth. That's when we remember who we are. It's from going to the depths of the depths. And often we can't get there on our own.
Yeah. And I reiterate again, and how you hold people so beautifully in the depths. But also what I admire about you too is that you're not throwing a life raft. Like I remember being like, oh no, I'm drowning. Like, what is happening? This is awful. But you didn't just be like, oh, here's the life raft, I'll pull you out. You're like, no, let's get the gold. Let's focus.
Yeah, I'm not here to, definitely not here to you or save anyone. And I think that takes a lot with a facilitator, or as a coach or a mentor, or, as a facilitator. you really, really, really get to do your own work, because it's through going through deep, dark places yourself, you actually can see your client in their power, and you can remind them of their power, and then you can witness them step into that and walk on out and back into the light. And I think when a coach or a facilitator hasn't walked the path themselves, they'll get worried, or, and they'll want to rescue, and
Yeah.
they'll want to fix or change the experience for someone. But I have such a deep connection, with my own faith and intuition and trust in the journey, because I've done it so many times, that I know that person is going to walk out of the underworld with the gold, and it's just a matter of when.
Yeah. And you're also continuously doing your own work too, Ange. So you are walking the walk, talking the talk. And you often do say the women that come to you, you've either had that experience yourself, or you start having an experience, and then you'll meet someone and they come into your field and you'll be like, oh, that's why this is happening. Like, oh, yep, I've been there. I can help you with this now.
Totally. Yeah. And yeah, I think the other piece that I would share around this is like that deeper work is when we truly understand and grasp the concept that our inner world creates our outer world, and our experiences, then we want to go in there. We want to go in there and know what's happening, because we really are powerful creators. And a lot of people don't actually understand what that means, or even, believe that that's possible.
100%. And thank you for that reminder, because, there was a period there where I was experiencing conflict with my daughter, having like sibling rivalry with her new sister. And I remember witnessing it and being so deeply triggered. And then like all this stuff was coming up for me. But it wasn't until I was able to then like sit and be and process that out of my body, out of my system, that it stopped. Like it literally just stopped. And I hear you, if you're listening, you'd be like, what? Like there have been many instances, like even with the sleep, like I reached out to you like not that long ago, and I was like, okay, I think this is force of control. I'm tired. How could I change this? And she sleeps beautifully. She's in a period of sleeping beautifully. And I'm like, you know what? This is great. This is awesome. Like the thing, what we resist persists. Like it's a real thing.
Yeah. Deeper energetics work is when you understand that. I think that our world changes yet again. There's just so many tools and practices and things that people aren't necessarily aware of that I like to share, so that we can live life how we desire to, and like get out of suffering.
Yeah. And I think that's what's really important to note about your container, Ange, is that it's not a rinse and repeat. Whilst the name might be the same each time, from my understanding, it shifts. And even throughout our container that we were in, we were then being like, oh, hey, what about this? And what about that? And so we touched on financials and abundance, and we then looked into human design and how that can show up for me, like how I've now been able to implement that into my mothering. So you work with the client work with the women within the program, within the group. So it's not like a copy and paste program.
Definitely not. Definitely. It gets created and recreated and changed every time, depending on the women in front of me. I also have just had one of my clients sign up for the third time of her journey through the container, because the container is actually an embodiment experience. So if you were to come and do the container again, you would be working on something totally different, and you would go through the process of death, birth, rebirth, and you would birth something new within yourself, and you would go deeper into patterns that you're not aware of, and you would shift those. And so it's very much an embodied experience, the container, that people can come and they can access the support and the coaching and the transformation over and over again.
Wow. I'm like, what would life be like? Because like I've said, my life has changed completely since January. I'm like, and that excites me, because I'm like, oh gosh, what could we do? What could we do?
Exactly. There's so many layers. Like I worked with one of my mentors for years, and did multiple containers of hers.
Yeah.
Going deeper and deeper and deeper. Yeah.
Because I think too, and like if you're comfortable talking about it, there's a lot more that you offer. So yes, this is one of your programs. You do individual client work.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to share? The other ways that people can work with you?
I think probably I'm not doing as much as what I used to do now that I'm also in motherhood and really enjoying and embracing my days with my daughter. There is the inkling of a retreat coming up.
Oh my God, sign me up. It's like
I haven't shared it yet, so stay tuned where it's in the pipeline with me and another facilitator who is phenomenal. So that's in the works. Stay tuned for details on that. And yeah, I'm also I also work with energy. I'm a teacher of Reiki. Often I'm running Reiki courses, level 1, level 2, masters, supporting people to learn how to work with their own energy field and their energy body. And I think that's really important, deep work. I offer the one-to-one client work as well, which is really deep in a sense of, yeah, we're having a lot of sessions and it's just you and I. And so there's nowhere to hide if it comes to one-to-one work. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoy that. I don't take on too many clients in one-to-one containers at once. But yeah, definitely reach out if that's something that is of interest to you. I have in the past been running conscious parenting programs as well. That's available as a standalone self-paced course. But I'm not running that currently at the moment because really I can integrate a lot of that through the creating and birthing container because women might want the tools from conscious parenting and I'm able to share them. So yeah. So that's mainly it.
I mean, you say mainly it, but it's such deep, powerful, transformative, huge work. But it's like, oh yeah, that's just me. It's like, yeah, just changing lives of women for the best all the time.
Yeah. Well, and I do work with men. I should say that I do work with men, and I have had a lot of male one-to-one clients. It's not something that I advertise, so to speak. But yeah, if there is a male listening to this, or you do have a partner, a brother, a son, or like someone that is in need of support, in need of healing, or a deeper transformation or a journey, I'm open to that as well.
Beautiful. So, and I think we've covered quite a bit on birthing the feminine way. Is there anything else you would like to add or you think is important for anyone listening to understand about either living in their feminine essence or, joining your program, what they could get out of it?
No, I think the biggest thing that I would just really love to share to sort of wrap things up, because I feel like we've covered a lot, is that you get to choose how you desire your life to be. And you get to create that. And if you're not sure how, then reach out. We are powerful beings. And sometimes we just need to reclaim that power and, have someone support us with all of the tools and the processes and the understandings and the things that, we don't know what we don't know. So yeah, I think I'll leave it with that.
That's such a beautiful message, Ange. That's a really nice way to wrap it up, I think. But yeah, as a final note from me, I don't know, like I said, I don't know how I can articulate this anymore, but from the deepest depths of my soul, I just want to thank you so much for the experiences that I have had with you. It's changed my life for the better in the sense that I'm able to live in trust and live and trust life and live in alignment with more of my true essence, which also has impacted my family. It's impacting my mothering, which is then impacting the future of my girls. And yeah, I'm a believer that I am the role model. So if I want my girl to live in a certain way and have the best opportunities in life, well, that's got to start with me. And by joining your program, that has started and catapulted that for me. So a genuine thank you. And if anyone's listening and is unsure of whether they should or not, it's the best investment possible to work with you. So Yeah, and also I'm totally open to anyone. If you have anyone who's like, all right, I'm on the fence or whatever, just send on my way.
I was just having that thought. I think you spoke to someone who is curious. She joined the container. She just finished the container and her wins were phenomenal. She actually was suffering postpartum depression and she's no longer on any medication. She no longer has anxiety or depression, like 4 months gone. And she also quit her job and got a soul aligned job where she's actually, you know, living in alignment with her gifts. Yeah, so many things have shifted and changed for that woman. So yeah, she's very, very grateful that she got to have a chat with you prior. And
I'm so glad. Yeah, because I wanted to know if she signed up, but I was also very respectful of her privacy and didn't want to. I was like, if I'm
quite open about it. So yeah.
Oh, yay. Yeah, that makes me happy. That makes me so happy because you always, I was like, oh, I hope cheering her on from the sidelines. That's beautiful. And also just very quick note, that is the second person I'm aware of that you have worked with that is no longer on any depressant, any anxiety medication. So this work is freaking huge. It's massive.
Yeah. And I'm not a doctor, so
yeah.
Disclaimer, but I do believe that when we learn to work with our emotions and have all the right tools and understand trauma in the nervous system, that, we can free ourselves from needing to escape or needing support to avoid what's actually there and instead process it so that, you know, we can liberate ourselves.
Beautiful. I know. I like there's so many things, but let's wrap up with how can we find you? If anyone's listening, how can they what are your social handles, website, all the things?
Yeah, so I have a couple of social handles because I lost one of my Instagrams and started a new one. So I have Village for Mamas. I'm sure you'll put the details. So I have Village for Mamas and Angela Louise Tonkin as well. Both of those are my Instagram accounts. I do have a Telegram group. So if interested, I can provide maybe a link to that. You will have to fill out a form to be a part of that community. And I do have a website, but it's not that I'm good at keeping up to date. I don't think it's been edited since 2017 or something. So you can find me at theheartofliving.co.
Yeah. The best way is Instagram.
Yeah, probably Instagram and or Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Well, Ange, thank you so much for sharing your gifts with us and your time, energy, and wisdom today. Yeah, and for everyone else, we'll talk to you soon. Have a great day or night, wherever you are listening.
Thank you for joining me on Breathe, Laugh, Parent. If this episode brought you a moment of calm or connection, please share it with a fellow mama. Subscribe on your favourite platform or visit shineom.com.au/podcast for more. Until next time, keep breathing, laughing, and parenting with heart. The information shared on Breathe, Laugh, Parent, the Shine On podcast, is for general educational and inspirational purposes only. It is not medical, therapeutic, or professional advice and should not be relied on as such. Always consult a qualified health or parenting professional for support tailored to your individual needs. Shine On and its guests disclaim any liability for decisions made based on this content.